Hey guys, happy one today. I was supposed to make this video yesterday, but I got sidetracked. Um, it's just a long story. But so yesterday Tuesday was a really long day. Um, and actually, the events that I'm about to tell you is what prompted me to make this video. Because there are a lot of things that you sighteds do. If it's a sighted person watching, if it's a visually impaired person, then you can probably relate, visually impaired or blind. But there are a lot of things you sighteds do that are unnecessary, unwarranted, make us blind people uncomfortable. And I feel like I've mentioned it in past videos, but it's kind of been like either in rant form or it was a part of an overarching theme of something else that I was talking about. So I figured I'd make a comprehensive video about it now. And I also plan on making an accompanying blog because I haven't blogged in about 2 months. So you can look forward to that. But what prompted me, or what the impetus for this video was just the day that I had yesterday. It was really long and a lot of things happened. I'll just get into it. So, first, for starters, the laundry room in my dorm is not very accessible. So I've taken this year, not this year 2017, but this school year, to using a laundry service, and they pick up my laundry and they bring it back 24 hours later. And it's great because though it costs more money than were I to use the school's inaccessible washing machine, I don't have to do the work because laundry isn't very fun. Well, except for the part when you're staring at the clothes spinning around in the dryer, but that's just kind of weird when you're not a child. So it's just not fun. So most of the valets who come and pick up the laundry, they have trouble finding my dorm because it's like a weird exit off of the FDR, which, for anyone who doesn't know what the FDR is, it's a major highway, and in New York and probably other places, I don't know, don't quote me here. Anyway, so it's like a weird place, so people usually get confused, just in general. So on Monday, when the person came to pick it up, he called me and he was confused, and I met him at the corner and yada yada yada. So now for the drop off, the return of my laundry, it was a different person who was bringing it, and he calls me and he's like, okay, I don't have parking, so can you just come down and I'll leave the car idling and I'll just run the laundry to you. And I was like, okay, sure. I plan to go downstairs anyway. So I get downstairs, I call him, he's like, okay, I'm walking towards you from the FDR. Great. I figure that he tells me this because in the delivery instructions, I say that I'm blind, and, so you should have to look out for me, and my number is there so for them to call me, and yada, yada, yada. So I assume that he tells me this because he knows that I'm blind, maybe? I don't know. That was my assumption. However, after hanging up from him, I start watching a YouTube video, and I'm just standing there, and it's not until a giant raindrop plops onto my head that I check the time and I realize it's almost 10 minutes later. So I call him back and I was like, I'm sorry, where did you say you were? And he's like, well, I was standing by the main entrance, you never came, so I left. And I was like, well, I was standing by the main entrance as well, and I'm blind, so I would not have seen you. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, I'm coming back now. He's like, and this bag is really heavy. So the past 2 times I talked to him, no mention of the bag being heavy. So if I were just a regular sighted college girl, then who cares about how heavy this bag is? For that blind person, oh dear. But whatever. So I'm like, okay, it's fine, don't worry about it. So he comes back, he gives me the bag, and the way he hands it to me is a little awkward. So after taking a few steps, I kind of put it down and shift the weight and the position of the bag. And one of my fellow dorm members, they're coming out of the building and they're like, oh, do you need help? And I'm like, no, it's fine. So I'm walking, the bag is better adjusted, and I'm walking up the ramp, and my cane hits one of the supports that holds the railing along the ramp, and so it hits it and it goes rolling. And my first reaction was just really? But then I bent down, but then I had to kind of grab the railing to keep my balance because the 28-pound bag of laundry on my shoulder. And yes, that's how many pounds? Because I had like sheets and stuff in there too. But anyway, so my cane like rolled a little bit and I couldn't reach it, and I was just so frustrated. But then the security guard looked back and he's like, "Stay right there, don't move, I'm coming right now." And I'm like, okay, I kind of need the cane, so don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. So he like gives it to me and I head back to my room, and I end up being 15 minutes late to class, because when the guy brought me the laundry, once I finally got it, it was exact like at 10:20, which is the exact time. That's the latest that I like to leave my room if I'm running behind schedule. But whatever, I get to class. The day's going pretty well until I spill some hot soup on myself. That was not fun. And after that, the day was just really long. But it wasn't necessarily bad besides the soup that kind of hurt. But so as I'm leaving school, and the main, like what really the impetus for this video, as I said, came from my yesterday, I'm walking down the street, and there's this one particular sidewalk that always has like a number of obstacles, like outside just like things outside of stores, displays outside of stores, and just like people just standing around. I mean, it's Manhattan, so there's always people, but I don't know, just more so than normal. And so this lady, I think I was about to walk into something, and she just like grabs my arm, moves me around, then just walks away. Like I had no time to like pull my arm away or to register that she grabbed me or to say anything. And so to her, it was probably a good deed. And honestly, like I prefer that she walked me around the object than I walk into it. But my cane probably would have hit it, and I would have known to walk around it. Or if I had I gotten a little bit closer, I might have seen it, or my shoulder might have just brushed it. But I don't know what you were planning to do when you just grabbed my arm, Maybe you're going to try to mug me. I doubt that, which is kind of sad, actually. Whenever people grab me in the city, that's not my first thought. My first thought is, like, oh, really? More people are trying to assist me, And, which is, again, probably really sad. And I caught up to the lady, like she just walked away from me and she was on the phone, and I caught up to her like a few steps later, and she's like, I'll just help you down this block. She just takes my arm, and I don't have a chance to say anything, because then she starts talking on the phone, and she's like finishing a conversation with her daughter. And you want to know how I know it's her daughter? Because as we're walking, when she hangs up, she's like, yeah, that was my daughter, she's studying hard, she's gonna finish college soon, and yada yada yada. She's like, oh, are you coming from college? I see you've got your book bag on. And she's just talking to me, and I don't know, maybe it was some weird sense of propriety. I didn't interrupt her, and I really didn't care about this story, and she's just like holding my elbow, not even using the proper sighted guide technique. A sighted guide is the proper way to assist a blind person. You're not supposed to just grab our arm. We're supposed to hold your elbow, and that actually gives the blind person control, because if you're guiding us and you're holding us, first of all, the guide is supposed to be in front. So if you're like, okay, there are stairs coming up, the stairs are right here. Now, generally, we have our cane. Whether, like, no matter what level of vision, or not no matter what level of vision, but if you're assisting us, it's probably because you saw a cane, so you assume that they need help. Even though vision is on a spectrum. Like, you can go from no vision, no light perception, to having some light perception, to have some, like, color vision. It's on a spectrum. And, but anyway, so people, like, if you're holding us, if you're holding our elbow, holding our shoulder, holding our arm, and you're telling us about steps, it leaves a lot more dangerous situation, because, let's say you give us bad directions, and we misstep, and I don't know, just so many things can go wrong. We're actually supposed to hold the person, because once you step down, then we know that a step later is our turn to step down, or the object might be in front of you, and you'll, like, pull us behind you. And it just offers a lot more control for the blind person, because maybe if we feel unsafe with you, we can just let go, as opposed to having to try to, like, tug away. But she's just, like, hanging onto my arm and chattering away to me, and then we get to the corner, and then she just leaves. She's like, and I'm just like, okay, well, have a nice day. And that's usually how a lot of my interactions end, with me just awkwardly telling the person to have a nice day, even though I didn't necessarily want the assistance. And this happens so many times, and I've talked about it in so many videos, but there's so many times when people just like aggressively offer their assistance. Like, I'm standing at a street corner and they're like, oh, you need help crossing, or we can cross now. Grab my arm, proceed to cross the street. Like, a gentle touch on the arm, first of all, so that I know that you're talking to me, because there have been a number of instances where someone has been talking to me and I either don't realize, or they're talking, I think they're talking to me, and I start responding, and they're like, no, I wasn't talking to you. Or they just don't say anything to me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess they weren't talking to me. But what's really frustrating about that, too, is that oftentimes, like, all of these people offering their help aggressively, and then when I need help, and this has happened to my friends, too, no one is actually around. Or I'll walk up to someone, or, like, people be passing by, and I'm just like, excuse me, and sometimes they'll stop and they won't say anything, so I won't know that they stopped for me. They might be checking their phone and they're just standing there. So I'll walk away. Now, some people, they'll be like, yes, what do you want? And I'm just like, oh, okay, I didn't realize you stopped for me. Or they'll just never actually say anything. And I'm always left wondering, like, did they stop for me? Or just other people, they just keep on walking. And I'm like, now you don't want to help the blind person? Really? Is that what's happening now? Make up your mind, guys. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with asking someone if they need assistance, but then if they tell you that they don't, or if they tell you in what capacity they need you to help them, then don't go beyond that. Don't force assistance. Don't tell them, no, you need me to, you need help crossing the street. No. If it's a dangerous situation, like, I don't know, we're about to, like, stroll into a sewer, like, or an open basement grate or something like that, then I can see you, like, throwing caution to the wind and, like, grabbing the person. Even if they, like, get upset with you and snap at you, there are a lot of blind people, particularly older blind people, who snap at people for, like, offering them assistance and, like, grabbing them. And honestly, it's understandable. Like, the person might be well-intentioned, they might be so kind-hearted, but, you know, think about it. Like, you might not be the first, second, third, fourth, 10th person that day or in that, like, last 10 minutes to have offered them assistance, and you don't know how it was offered, whether the people grabbed them, whether they asked nicely, whether they asked aggressively, whether they said anything at all. Because there are some people who, like, if I'm walk onto the train, like, they'll just take my arm and just drag me to a seat. Oftentimes, you know, like, I'll see the seat that they're taking me to, and I'm just like, okay, well, thanks, I guess. But it was one day I was in a really bad mood, and someone, like, grabbed my arm, and I'm like, excuse me, why are you touching me? And they're like, sit! And I'm like, no, I'm fine. They're like, no, you need a seat. No, I don't, thanks. And then, like, a second later, someone's like, excuse me, miss, do you want to sit? And I was like, oh, yeah, thank you. You know, it's really about the approach. Like, would you want someone grabbing you, or would you want someone talking to you? Being non-visually impaired, non-legally blind, whatever, like, as a sighted person, if someone just grabs you on the street, aren't you going to assume that they're robbing you or something? Which is really sad. When people grab me, that is not my first thought. My first thought is just like, really? Again, leave me alone. Did I ask for help? Sometimes I'm just walking down the street and people are like, you okay? You know where you're going? I'm in motion. I'm probably texting or talking to someone on the phone. Do I look confused? It's so weird to me. And again, I know that oftentimes, if not all the time, it's coming from a good place. But just think about it from the other person's perspective, you know? There are a lot of, I said a lot of words just now, but there are a lot of other things that people do that's just, like, really unnecessary, or, you know, you might not think about how it is for the blind person. So just thinking about people who, like, just stop when I, like, call out for assistance, who just stop. It's also, like, sometimes if you're online at a shop and you think that you've gotten to the front, like, you think you saw. For me personally, I have friends with better vision than I do, so they know definitively that the person moved in front of them. But, you know, you think that you saw the person move, so you move up, but then the person at the counter never says anything to you, so you're just standing there awkwardly like, oh, you know, where's the person at the counter? Why are they coming anytime soon? And in actuality, they're just standing there. They just haven't said a word. They haven't said next. They haven't said, can I help you? Militza, my friend from past videos, she actually mentioned this before I made this video, and she asked me to, you know, add it in. But she's told me this has happened to her at Dunkin' Donuts? And is it just Dunkin' Donuts then apostrophe? I think that sounds right. But it's happened to me at a lot of Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, that sounds weird. Dunkin' Donuts is at a lot of Dunkin' Donuts locations as well. And it's just really interesting. Like, we're blind, so we can't see you, but we can hear. We're not deaf. You can speak to us. And you can use a normal tone. You don't have to be like, okay, so what do you want next, sweetie? It's fine, Like, just use a normal tone. And if it's not in line, just like I said in the earlier part of this video, just touch the person's arm. Let them know that you're there. It's all good. And if they don't want assistance, don't feel offended. Don't act like they kicked your puppy. Just let it go. They don't need help. Like, it would be like if someone, like, just, like, I don't know, for some reason the doors on your car aren't locked, and someone just, like, jumped in and just starts steering your car, like, nope, you're going the wrong way. Here, let me help you out here. How creeped out would you feel? Like, that is just weird. And then, so this is just kind of like a total jump now, but people sometimes, they offer assistance that isn't needed or wanted, or what they perceive we need, and it's not actually the case. So Melissa, again, she's telling me about, like, ordering a large tea at her school, but them only filling it halfway. And, I ordered a large tea. I paid for the large tea, not a medium. I'm not going to spill it just because I'm blind. Like, why? Or another thing that she complained about, which I've experienced too, someone's like, do you want this double bagged? No, I'm fine. And they still double bag it anyway, even if it's one item. Now, something my sister pointed out is that people automatically, like, reach to double bag things anyway. So it might not necessarily be us, but oftentimes I'm like, well, why did you ask? You didn't double, you didn't double bag it. You asked us beforehand. And then sometimes people, they argue with me and they're like, well, this is really heavy. You should use 2 bags. But I don't want 2 bags. I'm only like a block away. Maybe I've carried this item before. And this is a small thing to nitpick about, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, there are just so many things that happen in a day. Like, it might seem really little to you. Like, okay, just let the person help you. But that's like the 5th person that assumed that what I said was wrong and that they knew what was best for me. And I don't know. I guess just to wrap this up, I'm not sure how long I've been talking. Usually I kind of time my videos, but I didn't this time. Instead, I was just, like, looking at my little bullet points. I usually don't outline my videos, but I knew that I'd probably ramble as I am right now. But, just use common sense. Like, you wouldn't want people telling you what you need, or you wouldn't like people to assume. It's always, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking. You can always ask if we need assistance. It might be frustrating for some people after, like, constantly being asked, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with asking. But it's what you do after you ask, or after you ask whatever it is you ask, whether it's crossing the street or looking for a seat or offering that's another thing, offering a seat on the train. Like, there's nothing wrong with my legs. I appreciate the courtesy, but then if I say that I don't want the seat, shouldn't you be happy to stay seated? Don't yell at me and tell me to sit, or tell me that I need to sit. You would feel better if I sat. I don't care how you would feel. I'm more comfortable sitting, or standing rather. Maybe there's a reason, and a lot of times there is, like, if the train is crowded, which is oftentimes, the best time to get a seat, but if it's crowded, and if I know the doors are going to open across from me, I'd rather be standing, just because sometimes I feel like it's easier to, like, push through the crowd rather than I have to get up and there's people and, whatever's going through my mind. But I said that I don't want the seat. Don't yell at me. Don't argue with me. Don't tug at me. It's just, use common sense. How would you feel in this situation? So for me, I can see a little bit. So on the train, I have some vision in my left eye, which we've discussed before. But, I can see you walking me toward the seat, but for someone who's fully blind, like, that might be terrifying. Someone's just grabbing and tugging at them. Like, really, really think about it. Really think about how you come off, just the impressions that you give off, that you leave us with, leave us blind people with. It can be really bad. I love when people ask me if I need help and I say no, and they're like, all right, well, have a nice day. That, like, I want to give them a cookie or give them a hug, because I'm just like, that is an ideal interaction. That's beautiful. And it's just, I don't know. Just think about how you come off. Use common sense. We are people. Like, yes, we might not be able to see as well as you do, but we are people. And yeah, I guess. Oh, one last thing. People tell me, like, they walk up to me and they're like, oh, you're so inspiring, or you're so amazing how you can navigate this city. It's my city. I grew up here. I've lived in this city for almost 21 years. Oh gosh, I'm going to be 21. I should have just 20 years. I've lived here for over 20 years. lately been talking a lot about like 21st birthday plans, so now I'm thinking almost 21 rather than over 20 years. But you know, I've lived here all of my life. Like, it's just a thing that I have to do. I don't feel like just being blind and doing common things should be a source of inspiration. You know, like if I actually do something inspirational, like I haven't won any Nobel prizes. I'm just living my life, and I'm just living it to the best of my ability. I understand that it might be like confusing or daunting to you, like for someone visually impaired. Especially some people feel bad for me because I don't have full vision, but then I'm not fully blind, so I'm in this like in between state. I'm cool with it. Don't feel bad for me. I don't feel bad for myself. You know, I hate when people yell at me. Like, I can hear you guys. The stereotype is that I have superhuman hearing. So please stop speaking to me like I'm an alien. And you know, stop speaking to me so slowly or in that like patronizing tone for children. So, like, it's not cool. It's offensive, and it's just, you wouldn't like it if someone talked to you, especially, you know, if you had no visual impairment. You'd just be like, well, why are you talking to me like that? And that's how I feel. Like, the only thing that separates us is our vision, and that I can't drive and you can. So, I don't know. You know, just take my words with a grain of salt. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is probably super long, but my videos are usually pretty long, so I hope you enjoy, and I'll be working on my next one sometime soon.